Hi everyone, Grant K here for the Flame Premium Learning channel. In the previous video, we looked at the contextual views, including the 3-up viewer for time-sensitive contextual viewing. This video will examine the new foreground render options that are currently offered in the software. So here we have a sequence that contains unrendered timeline effects. In order to render these segments, you have two types of render options you can choose from. Clicking on the Render button, you have Render and Render Selection. For existing Flame Premium and Smoke Advanced artists, the render method that you have been used to is called Render Selection. Simply put, you make a selection in the sequence that you would like to render and choose Render Selection. However, with Reactor 2.0 in the timeline, the rendering approach has changed. In previous versions of Flame Premium and Smoke Advanced, if you had multiple layers in the timeline, the render engine had to render all the layers from the bottom up. So for example, layer 1 through 5 had to be fully rendered before layer 6 could be rendered. This meant that the same section of timeline had to be rendered 6 times over to get a final result. This took more time to render, as well as using 5 times more disk space than really required for the final result. So moving forward to the current release of Flame Premium and Smoke Advanced, you only have to render the topmost layer to get the rendered result. This means the timeline effects renders are faster since there are fewer frames to render. This also means that with a single layer render, you are not losing disk space on intermediate renders. So a very important point for existing artists. You need to change your habit slightly and only select what truly needs to be rendered. In almost all cases, you select the top video track. If you select all the tracks in the sequence and render the selection, you will unnecessarily render every layer as before and lose time and disk space. The second render option is just called Render. When you choose this option, any selection in the sequences are ignored and the entire sequence is rendered. As before, using the Render option will only render the topmost video track in the sequence. The idea is that the timeline should only render what is required to view the final outputted sequence. Shifting slightly over to another topic, one function that initially appears to be missing is the ability to force a render. If you wish to reprocess a render for any reason, the workflow has changed because of the timeline architecture. To reprocess any renders, you first need to flush the render and then re-render the segment. So select a segment that you wish to re-render. Hold the Meta key and click on a segment for the contextual menu. In the Media menu, choose Flush Renders. This is selection-based, so only the selected segments will have their renders flushed. You can now select the segments again and press Render Selection. Or you could choose Render if you want to ensure that the entire sequence is rendered. Stay tuned for more videos using timeline effects in the sequence with Reactor 2.0. Comments, feedback and suggestions are always welcome and appreciated. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to the Flame Premium Learning channel for future videos.